Good evening everyone, welcome to Bajirao IAS Academy. Today is 3rd March 2025. We have been discussing important topics from science and technology for your mains examination. So in yesterday class we have discussed about Indian Space Research Organization and some of its flagship missions that ISRO has launched, and today also we have some more important topics. For example, the Gaganyaan mission. So this is India's first human space flight mission, right? So ISRO is planning to send 3 astronauts or Vyomanauts into the low Earth orbit. So this is essentially to demonstrate India's capability to send humans into the space, and in fact it is considered as a foundation because we have plans to build the Indian Space Station, and we also plan to send humans into the surface of the moon. So therefore, keeping all these different missions in mind in future, so the Gaganyaan mission, a flagship mission, is going to be launched anytime this year or the first half of the next year. And apart from Gaganyaan mission, we will be discussing about the NAVIC, so that is Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System, and similarly we also discuss about the National Geospatial Policy. So these are some important topics that one by one we'll discuss. And first of all, the Gaganyaan mission. So when I say Gaganyaan mission, as I have already told you that this is India's first human space flight mission. So ISRO will send 3 astronauts. So those 3 astronauts are already selected and different phases of training that they are already undergoing. So as part of the Gaganyaan mission, so they will be sent to the low Earth orbit, and it is essentially to demonstrate the technology of India, that whether we have the technological capability to send human beings into the low Earth orbit and we can safely bring them back to the Earth. So that is the Gaganyaan mission. And in fact, if it is successful, India will become the 4th country. So India will actually become the 4th country if Gaganyaan mission is successful, because before India, already Russia, US and China already have the capability to send human beings into the space. But if India is successful in Gaganyaan mission, so India will become the 4th country to successfully send human beings into the space. And it is also expected that we would have the capability to send the humans into the space, and it is also expected that this Gaganyaan mission would also be successful in future. Now we'll try to understand this very briefly, and then we'll go into the details of Gaganyaan mission. So Gaganyaan is a space mission, and it is to demonstrate the capability of Indian Space Research Organizations, right? So ISRO's capabilities of a human space flight program. So human space flight program, so sending humans into the low Earth orbit. So capability of launching human crew, right? So as I have already told you that 3 human beings will be sent to the, or we can call them Vyomanauts or astronauts, into the orbit of 400 kilometer, or bringing them back safely to the Earth, right? So that is what is the Gaganyaan mission, as I have already explained to you. And what is the aim of the Gaganyaan mission? So it has an objective, right? So the objective is to demonstrate the technology. So we just wanted to demonstrate the technology of sending human beings into the low Earth orbit. So we will send humans into low Earth orbit as part of the Gaganyaan mission and bring them back safely to the planet Earth. So as I have already told you that we have plans to build Indian Space Station. So we wanted to build Indian Space Station by the year 2035, and we also wanted to send human beings into send Indians to moon, right? So therefore for several interplanetary missions also, for example, if India wanted to send Indians to Mars, so first we need to demonstrate the technology of sending humans to space, and then we need to send humans to the surface of the moon, and then we can actually have the technological capability and the potential to send Indians to the surface of the moon, because now all the countries are competing to send humans into the moon and even to the surface of the Mars also. So therefore, in order to achieve that capability, first we need to test our ability to send humans into the space and bring them back safely to the Earth. Now, so this is no surprise that when we bring them back to the planet Earth, so they would land either in Bay of Bengal or Arabian Sea, right? So based on that, that technical capabilities, or the technical calculations, they either land on Bay of Bengal or the Arabian Sea. However, for the Gaganyaan mission, a special space craft would be used. So that is a launch vehicle Mark III. So launch vehicle Mark III would be used for this Gaganyaan mission, right? So some other details with respect to the Gaganyaan mission is that it is India's first manned spaceflight program. So try to understand, this is very, very important for your mains examination or for your prelims examination also, right? So for example, if you're writing a mains answer on Gaganyaan mission, first you briefly write that it is India's first manned space mission, and as part of the Gaganyaan mission, 3 astronauts or Vyomonauts would be sent to the low Earth orbit up to 400 kilometer and bring them back safely to the Earth. So that is the Gaganyaan mission, to demonstrate the technology of sending Indians to the space, right? So this project was first approved by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on August 15, 2018. So this was the time period when Prime Minister Narendra Modi first approved this Gaganyaan project, and it will actually send 3 human crew into the space, and so they will spend at least 7 days in the low Earth orbit, so as part of this Gaganyaan space flight program. And in fact, ISRO will hopes to deploy its biggest rocket. So in fact, the geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle MK3 is considered as one of its biggest rockets, and ISRO will use this GSLV Mark III for its Gaganyaan mission. And in fact, this Gaganyaan mission is considered as the cheapest mission, because earlier also we have understood that ISRO is known for its satellite launch capabilities at a lower cost. So this is also known as the cost effective way of launching satellites, and ISRO is well known for this. And in fact, this Gaganyaan mission is considered as a cheapest manned space flights in the world, because its estimated cost is not more than 10,000 crore. But on the other hand, other countries like US and European Space Agency and even Chinese Space Agency, so all these different space agencies have been spending comparatively very high amount, but Gaganyaan mission's total cost would be estimated at 10,000 crore only. However, so India planned to call the astronauts as Vyomonauts. So we won't call them astronauts, rather we call them Vyomonauts, or Vyom in Sanskrit actually means space. So that's why ISRO has been planning to call these 3 astronauts as Vyomonauts. So I hope you have understood this, and we have already discussed that if India is successful in sending humans to the space, so India will become the 4th country to send humans into the space after Russia, US and China. So it is clear, I think. So now, so what are the key components of this Gaganyaan mission? So that we should have to understand. So when we talk about the key components of the Gaganyaan mission, so it actually consisting of 3 key components. So one is the orbital module, then the other is service module, and then the crew module, right? So you can actually see here, so this is together the orbital module, right? So this is orbital module. So these are important components of the Gaganyaan mission. So this is orbital module, and the top part of the orbital module is called as the crew module, where crew would live, right? So this is a crew module. So this crew module will consist of all necessary systems, and that would sustain the environment and sustain the atmosphere for the crew, and this is called as the bottom part of it called as the service module, right? So this is actually does the on orbit servicing. So both crew module as well as the service module together called as the orbital module, right? So this is together called as orbital module. So I hope you have understood this. So this orbital module is mounted at this particular portion of GSLV Mark 3. So GSLV Mark 3 would be the rocket, and GSLV Mark 3 is considered as the biggest rocket of ISRO. So GSLV Mark 3 is known as the biggest rocket that ISRO as of now has, and this will be used for the Gaganyaan mission, right? So Gaganyaan mission, and in fact this orbital module is placed at this particular portion of the GSLV Mark 3, and these are propellants so that are used to power the engines of GSLV Mark 3. Now what exactly this orbital module consisting of? So first try to understand it very briefly. And this orbital module is considered as a central hub of the Gaganyaan mission, right? So this portion is considered as the central hub, right? So this is considered as the central hub of the entire Gaganyaan mission, and this central hub of the Gaganyaan mission will consist of the it consisting of crew module, and also the in-service module. So these are the two components that the central hub, so that is the orbital module is consisting of the crew module as well as the service module. So therefore it is said that this orbital module will be equipped with the advanced avionics, right? So it is having advanced avionics. So remember that this is a very complex mission, so therefore this orbital module should have advanced avionics to successfully sustain this Gaganyaan mission. So this central hub, which is also known as the orbital module, as I have already told you, that this consisting of the this is consisting of crew module as well as the in-service module. So what are the functions of the service module? So how the service module actually helps in the successfully launching this Gaganyaan mission or mission success? And in fact this service module, it actually comprises of the propulsion system, right? So this service module consisting of the propulsion system, thermal system, power systems, avionic systems, deployment mechanisms, so all essential elements or all essential equipment that could sustain this Gaganyaan mission and that could sustain the crew would be part of this service module, right? So in fact this service module aim to provide all essential service to the crew module while in orbit, right? So this orbital module, so that is a central hub of this mission. So while it is orbiting in the low earth orbit of the planet Earth, so this service module will provide all necessary help and all necessary support to the crew module. So I hope it is clear and you have understood this. Now we have a crew module. So crew module is the place where the crew members live, right? So this is the place where the 3 crew members will sustain for around 7 days in the low earth orbit, right? So this crew module will have an earth-like environment. So it's not possible for the humanoids to sustain if we don't provide a proper atmosphere and a proper environment. So therefore this crew module will consisting of earth-like environment in space. So that will help regulate the environment for the crew, so that crew would be more and more safer in this crew module. And in fact this crew module includes systems like crew interfaces, human-centric products, life support systems, avionics, and the deceleration systems. So these are the essential components that are part of the crew module, and some essential aspects that we have already discussed about this service module. And both service module and crew module are part of the orbital module, and orbital module is considered as the central hub of the entire Gaganyaan mission. Now what is the significance of the Gaganyaan mission? So we should understand the significance of the Gaganyaan mission as well, because it is very important, it is significant, and that's why we have been discussing about this, because it demonstrates India's capability of sending humans or sending Indians into the space that so far only 3 countries have done. And in fact India, with a very less resources and an emerging nation, so it is going to be a very big success for India if it is successful. So therefore what is the significance of the Gaganyaan mission? So we have to understand this component as well. So if India is successful, so it is considered as one of the very big achievement, a significant achievement, because so India will become the fourth country, right? So India is going to become the fourth country to send human beings into the space, send humans into the space, because already countries like Russia, US, China, they already have the capability of sending humans into the space. And in fact, China has already developed its own space station, and India has been planning to develop its own space station by the year 2035. And this is another major reason that why we wanted to have the technology of sending Indians into the space, so that we would have Indian space station by the year 2035, and we can also send human beings into the moon by the year 2040. Right, so these are some of the objectives. And once we have the technology of sending Indians into the space through the Gaganyaan mission, so then we start our plans to build the Indian space station and also sending Indians to the surface of the moon. So this will be achieved by 2040, and building Indian space station would be achieved by the year 2035. And these two are the ambitious missions, because once we are successful in these two missions, then we would start sending humans into the other planets also, as part of the interplanetary missions, that we actually launch. And similarly, the advanced technology capability that we develop through the Gaganyaan mission, right? Because it is not an easy feat sending humans into the space that only 3 countries have achieved so far. So that is a major technological milestone, and that means India has the capability of sending human beings into the space, and that would give further sustained push to the exploration and scientific missions into the space, and even advancing its existing technological prowess. And it would also result in the space tourism. So how it would result in space tourism? Because we actually have the capability of sending humans into the space, and we also have the private sector, and we already have the private sector, and ISRO is ready to transfer the technology to the private sector through Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center that has been already established. So through this Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, ISRO would actually transfer the technology to the private companies, right? So this way, this will result in more technological prowess and more private startups, and further giving fill up to the space economy as well. So space economy will also get a sustained push through this, and it would also result in economic opportunities and employment creation as well, because once we have the capability, so it will result in more research and development, and it will boost space tourism, research and development, and emerging new space startups, and we also have Indian new space policy that the government has launched. So this space policy has provided more clarity and more a viable environment, a conducive environment for the private companies to operate. So all these factors would result in more and more space startups, and space startups actually means that it would result in more employment opportunities or gainful employment opportunities, and it would also result in economic growth as well, right? So these are the other significant aspects of the Gaganyaan mission. So similarly, it would also result in further improving existing space diplomacy of India, because India can actually strengthen its relations with other spacefaring nations through the collaboration and international agreements. So one example that I could mention here is that when it comes to the Gaganyaan mission, so India is already actively collaborating with France and Russia when it comes to providing training to the Indian astronauts, right? Because This is the first mission and a very ambitious mission, and countries like Russia have a huge experience when it comes to sending humans into the space, and that's why India has been collaborating and further strengthening its relations with countries like France, Russia, and for that matter US also. So that's how it would further give a fillip to the space economy as well, and innovation environment or innovative culture would be further generated, right? Because this mission will help this will help promote innovation and creativity in country by inspiring next generation of students, right? And it would result in skilled manpower, and it would also result in apart from that, more entrepreneurship opportunities, and conducive policy environment, and competitiveness in global space market. So all these are the benefits and the advantages that would certainly benefit India as well, right? So this is the significance of the Gaganyaan mission. So apart from that, there will be a substantial presence of the private sector as well with the success of the Gaganyaan mission, because it is not a small feat and it is a complex mission. Sending humans into the space is a complex mission. So since it is a complex mission, when it is successful, then ISRO would be ready to transfer the technology. ISRO is ready to transfer the technology to the private sector, to the private space firms in India. So remember that India already allowed 100% FDI into the space sector as well. So therefore it would result in the development and growth of more and more private sector presence, because space tourism is the one of the very important avenue that has been emerging, right? So this is an emerging avenue, space tourism. So therefore there would be more and more private investment. Private space firms will grow and develop. So this will give a sustained push to the growth of the private sector as well. And in fact, international collaboration, so this is also very closely aligned with the space diplomacy. Now, because of the unlimited potential that this space as a domain has, and it also requires the international collaboration as well. So when I say international collaboration, don't you think that there is increasing space junk, and that has been potentially threatening the existing satellite systems, right? So therefore international collaboration is envisioned. For example, I would say that Artemis Accords, right? So Artemis Accords, where India is also part of this Artemis Accords, and that is with respect to the space and peaceful uses of space convention. So all these are different dimensions of the international collaboration when it comes to the space. So therefore when India is becoming a major spacefaring nation, so don't you think that the other countries would come and collaborate with India? And I would say another example, that is the SARC satellite. So ISRO has launched SARC satellites, and that is going to benefit all the countries in the SARC except Pakistan. So therefore ISRO achieving major milestones every day, and Gaganyaan is one such important and key milestone. So it would certainly improve India's space diplomacy, and it would certainly encourage India's international collaboration with the other like-minded international collaboration with the other countries. Particularly, we are living in an era where you can actually see the space race. Where countries have been actively competing with each other to access the resources in the space. For example, recently Osiris Rex. So this is an asteroid from which Osiris Rex from asteroid Bennu. So it has collected the samples of asteroid Bennu. So this mission of NASA. So therefore collection of mining resources, asteroids or space tourism. So all these are very important avenues that we could actually focus on, and countries are also actually competing, so India should not lag behind. And in that aspect, Gaganyaan mission is very important for India, and it would also further enhances India's industry and academia partnership. So industry academia partnership is also the other important dimension. This is also another very important area, because this mission will help promote academia industry partnership in carrying out the developmental activities for the national development. Right. So as of now, with respect to the space as an arena, what is missing? So the missing link is industry and academia partnership. So industry academia partnership is missing. So if there is an active collaboration between industry and academia, so it is a possibility that the skilled manpower, and when I say skilled manpower, the industry relevant skilled manpower can be produced, and that would certainly benefit the space economy. So therefore, this Gaganyaan mission is also expected to further give a fillip to the industry and academia partnership as well. So however, Gaganyaan is not without challenges. There are certain challenges as well with respect to this Gaganyaan mission. So what are the key challenges that we have in this Gaganyaan mission? So one major challenge that we observe is long delay in Chandrayaan, so long delay in this Gaganyaan mission, because this mission was expected to be launched 2022, but this was deferred due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So because of the COVID-19 pandemic, so Gaganyaan mission was not launched. So till then it is 2025, and still it is uncertain when this Gaganyaan mission will be launched. So therefore, there are a number of problems that ISRO has been facing when it comes to the launch of the Gaganyaan mission. So still it is in the experimental phase, but it is expected that by the end of 2025 or the early months of 2026, this Gaganyaan mission will be certainly launched. And apart from that, there are certain risks of failure as well, because this is going to be India's first mission, right? So first mission, despite taking all necessary measures, there may be a chance, there may be a possibility of mission failure, and that would be coming up with a huge cost as well, because this is going to be India's first human space flight program, and in case if it failed, the life of the Vyomanauts would be at risk, and that would attract a huge criticism for India as well. So therefore, ISRO would have to be very careful. So in case of a failure of the Gaganyaan mission, then it will be very difficult, or it will take a lot of time for the ISRO to launch next Gaganyaan mission. So therefore, because of that reason, it should be very careful. So it is also having the chance of failure as well, and there is a chance of these Vyomanauts being exposed to the radiation as well in case of this Gaganyaan mission is being launched. So this is going to be the first mission, and if we don't have the necessary equipment that could actually protect these Vyomanauts from the radiation exposure, so that would impact the health of the Vyomanauts. So therefore, Vyomanauts or the astronauts face the increased risk of radiation levels in the space, and that would actually potential risks such as cancer, and even that would impact the central nervous system as well. So these are some challenges. And apart from that, the challenge of gravity. So this is also another major challenge that the astronauts could face, because they are actually making a transition from one gravity field to another gravity field, and that could actually impact their hand and eye and head-eye coordination as well. So generally, that's why whenever you see astronauts landed on any particular region, so they require assistance, right? So they are not able to walk on their own, they require the assistance. So therefore, when they are transitioning between the gravity fields, their head and eye coordination would be lost, and that would be very difficult for the astronauts to come out of it. And even space is a harsh environment, and it is for the first time that Indian astronauts are being sent to the low Earth orbit, to the space. So therefore space actually presents a hostile environment, right? So there will be a hostile environment, and in space there is no atmosphere as well. There is no atmosphere, and it consisting of the hostile atmosphere. So in such a type of a conditions without pressure, so there will be no pressure, no atmosphere, so it actually creates challenges for the human body, right? So that would further ultimately impact the health of the astronauts and even indigenous technology that we have been using in this Gaganyaan mission. So Gaganyaan mission, so we have been using this indigenous technology. So when I say indigenous technology, so everything that we have developed, so it is indigenously developed. It is developed by ISRO scientists on their own. So it may have the risk of failure of the mission because of, this is the first time that we have been using indigenous technology to send human beings into the low Earth orbit. So therefore dependency on the indigenous technology, it actually requires an extensive research and development. It also requires testing. It also requires various technical capabilities are taken care of for the safety, so ultimate safety of the astronauts. So in case no humans in missions, if the mission failed, it's fine, it's okay to some extent, but for the first time we are also sending humans into the space, and therefore it is very, very important. We need to take care of every minute thing, right? Because a failure of the Gaganyaan mission would be a completely disastrous for us. And developing a reliable and safe spacecraft is also very, very important and challenging on the part of the ISRO, because developing a reliable and safe spacecraft for the human transport is a strategic challenge that ISRO could face, because this is India's first human rated spacecraft, and we have been using geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle Mark 3. So this is also known as the human rated vehicle, and this is also the biggest vehicle that ISRO has so far, and training the astronauts for the mission. So we have discussed that France, Russia are providing training to the astronauts for this particular mission. So apart from that, training astronauts for the missions require the preparation for living, working in space, and this actually poses a unique challenges. But it is expected that Indian astronauts are well trained, and very soon India is going to launch its mission, and it is going to be a success, a resounding success, and that will actually form the foundation for India to become a major space-faring nation in the future. So next we'll talk about the Chandrayaan 3 mission. So Chandrayaan 3 mission is also a very, very important mission, and in fact in UPSC 2023 examination, Chandrayaan 3 as a mission has been asked. So therefore these are very, very important aspects that we should actually discuss. So when we talk about this Chandrayaan 3 mission, so Chandrayaan 3 is considered as a mission, or it is also known as the lunar mission. So third lunar mission, and the objective of the Chandrayaan mission is to send a rover to the surface of moon, right? So we sent a rover onto the surface of the moon, particularly the southern pole of moon, and in fact India became the first country to successfully land a rover and study the conditions that are prevailing in the southern pole of moon. So no country so far sent a rover, landed a rover successfully in the southern pole of the moon, right? So I hope it is clear why it is called as Chandrayaan 3. So it is called as Chandrayaan 3 because it is third lunar mission, right? So this is the third lunar mission. So in the first mission, Chandrayaan 1, we have sent an orbiter around the sun. And in the second lunar mission, that is Chandrayaan 2, so we have sent an orbiter as well as the rover as well, lander and rover. So however, the second component of the Chandrayaan 2 mission was a failed because of the crash landing, right? So in Chandrayaan 2, this lander was crash landed on the moon's surface, and because of that reason the second component was not successful. However, Chandrayaan 3, we have achieved this successfully, where we have sent a lander and a rover to the southern pole of the moon, and that's why it is called as Chandrayaan 3, and Chandrayaan 3 is a successful mission. Right, so you can see here Chandrayaan 3 is a lunar mission, and it is the second attempt to achieve a soft landing of a robotic lander on the moon's surface. We have actually achieved the soft landing of a robotic lander on the moon's surface. And once we have successfully landed on the southern pole of the moon, so as I have already told you that India became the first country to successfully land on the surface, particularly the southern pole of the moon, but overall India became the fourth country to land a rover on the surface of the moon. Right, so what are the other countries? For example, US has already landed its lander on the surface of the moon, and in fact US has already sent astronauts into the surface of the moon as well, and Russia and even China already achieved this feat of sending the lander and the rover into the surface of the moon. But India became the first country to touch the southern pole of the moon, but overall fourth country to send a lander into the surface of the moon. So what are the key components or the important components of the Chandrayaan 3? So we should also discuss the key components of Chandrayaan 3. So Chandrayaan 3 actually comprised of three very important and three essential components. So what are those three essential components? Right, so it consisting of three essential components. Right, so what are those components? So it consisting of the propulsion module, right? Propulsion module, and this propulsion module transports the lander and rover configuration to 100-kilometer lunar orbit. And secondly, it is being equipped with a spectropolarimeter habitable planet Earth. So that is what is called as SHAPE. Okay, so it is being equipped with SHAPE. And this is a payload enabling the study of Earth's spectral and polarimeter measurements from lunar orbit. And apart from that, the lander module, right? So the lander module, which is called as Vikram, right? So Vikram is actually the lander which is landed on the southern pole of the moon. So this lander module actually carries a scientific payload, and the scientific payload is designed to study the lunar surface and the atmosphere, right? So firstly, Chandrayaan 3 actually comprises of three essential components. So first one is the propulsion module, and the propulsion module equipped with the spectropolarimeter habitable planet Earth. So this is also known as SHAPE. This is also called as SHAPE. And Vikram, this is another component, so that is the lander module. So lander module is called as Vikram. So the lander module carries a scientific payload, so that is designed to study the lunar surface and the atmosphere. And apart from that, the rover module as well. So this module carries instruments for studying the lunar surface and also the subsurfaces as well. So these are three important components that are being sent to the moon's southern pole as part of the Chandrayaan 3 mission. So what is the significance of Chandrayaan 3 mission? So Chandrayaan 3 has actually the following significance. Now you can also see the mission objectives. So to demonstrate the safe soft landing on this lunar surface, and that we have achieved through the Chandrayaan 3 mission. So this is one of the objective, that we will safely land on the lunar surface. So that is one objective. And second objective, so once the lander is safely landed on the southern pole of the moon, so the rover rover roving around the surface of the moon. So we planned to demonstrate this technology as well, right? So demonstrating the technology of the rover coming out of the lander and studying the surface of the moon, right? So, and also conducting in situ scientific experiments. So these are very briefly the main mission objectives of the Chandrayaan-3 mission. So what is the total or the entire mission life? So it's entire mission life, particularly for the propulsion module, so that is one of its component. So its mission life for 3 to 6 months. So 3 to 6 months is actually the mission life of Chandrayaan-3. However, lander and rover, so its lander and rover's mission life is 1 lunar day. So how many days is considered as 1 lunar day? It is 14 earth days. So 14 earth days is considered as 1 lunar day, and the life of lander and rover is 14 earth days or 1 lunar day. So what are the components? We have already discussed the components. So it is consisting of propulsion module, the lander module, and also the rover module. So what is the entire weight? So the total weight is 2148 kilograms, and this is not that important, right? Now, what is the significance of the Chandrayaan-3 mission? So we need to understand the significance as well, right? So a leadership in space technology. So India became the leader in space technology because India can actually demonstrate its prowess of successfully sending a lander and rover to the southern pole of moon. So far only 3 countries have achieved this feat, and India has already joined an elite club of nations by sending the lander and rover into the moon's surface, and it is also very cost effective, right? So this is very cost effective. So very cost effective in the sense that we have sent this mission at a very less price, and we already made soft landing. This is our second attempt, and in our second attempt itself we have made a soft landing, and we have actually showcased our capability. We have demonstrated our capability to soft land our rover or lander on the surface of the moon. And apart from that, we have indigenously developed the cryogenic engines, and we already tested the cryogenic engines that we have developed through the Chandrayaan mission. So therefore, overall Chandrayaan-3 mission has positioned India as a leader in the space technology, and it has also proved that India is an emerging space power. And don't you think that this successful landing would further give a fillip to Indian space economy, or it will result in new space economy for India, and India will emerge as a new global hub, right? So therefore it actually fosters the strategic partnerships, right? So it would result in the strategic partnerships, and it would also result in the collaborations between these different space economies. And it is also having a strategic significance because soft landing has a strategic significance. So when I say soft landing, in future also we can send humans into the moon, and interplanetary missions, particularly if we wanted to send Indians into the Mars. So we have demonstrated our technology, and this is having a strategic significance, right? So this soft landing capability has a strategic implications because it would contribute to the advancements in refueling and even the docking technology as well. And similarly, it would result in insights into the aerospace and defense capabilities or defense technologies as well, because the soft landing capability that we have achieved would further contribute to India's missile defense programs and the reusable launch vehicle technology. So all these things would achieve in the cost reductions and making space missions more and more cost effective as well. And we have the aerospace, and we have the defense industry and aerospace industry would also get this technology, and that would also result in giving a sustained boost to the space economy, aerospace economy and defense economy as well. However, So ISRO has been planning to launch the Chandrayaan 4 mission as well, right? So Chandrayaan 4 is the another mission, so that follows Chandrayaan 3 mission. So we'll try to understand some important details with respect to Chandrayaan 4 mission. So Chandrayaan 4 is the much more advanced version. So this is the much more advanced version of Chandrayaan 3 mission. So Chandrayaan 4 mission, so it is planned to bring the lunar samples. So we have been planning to bring back the lunar samples. So as of now, we send a lander, and from lander, so we also sent a rover, and that particular rover conducted a series of experiments roving around the surface of the moon. So therefore Chandrayaan 3's primary objective is sending a lander, sending a rover, and apart from that we also conduct lunar samples, and those lunar samples would be safely brought back to the earth. And that is the objective of Chandrayaan 4 mission, right? So lunar sample return mission, and that will land and thereafter be able to bring back the sample of the lunar surface. So we'll bring back the sample of the lunar surface. So it is actually having the rover, right? So it is actually having the rover. So this mission is expected to be more complex than its predecessor, right? So because the Chandrayaan 3, so Chandrayaan 3 is considered as a predecessor of Chandrayaan 4 mission, and therefore so it is having, Chandrayaan 3 is having a rover of 30 kilograms. So the rover is 30 kilograms and Chandrayaan 4 plans to land a massive 350 kgs of rover. So the rover weight would be around 350 kilograms. So the rover will have an exploration area of around 1 kilometer into 1 kilometer. So that is significantly larger than the Chandrayaan 3's 500 meters into 500 meters, right? And even it also lands on the surface of the moon, and its exploration area is also much more larger and wider as well. So these are some details with respect to Chandrayaan 4 mission, right? And in fact, so you can also go through this. And Chandrayaan 4 mission objectives: developing space technologies, space capabilities, and the total fund requirement around 2,100 crore. And despite then it is cost effective mission, right? So it is considered as a cost effective mission because ISRO or Indian space missions are much more cheaper compared to its most of the counterparts. So we have already understood the important objectives of Chandrayaan 4 mission, right? So you can also go through it why the docking technology is very, very important. So why landing safely on the lunar surface is very, very important for it is actually not landing on the surface of the moon, but recently we have conducted the docking exercise, because if we wanted to bring back the sample from the lunar surface, so we need to have the technology and we need to have the capability to successfully dock two different modules in the space, the orbit of the earth, around the orbit of the earth. So therefore this docking technology is also very, very important. So this is not just with respect to bringing back samples, but if we wanted to send humans into the lunar surface, then also this docking technology is very, very important, because this docking technology will allow spacecraft to exchange materials, and they can also exchange human beings as well. And this is very, very important for building the space station that we have been planning to build by the year 2035, and we also planning to send humans into the lunar surface by the year 2040. For that particular purpose, the docking is very, very important and it is crucial. And it will also enable refueling of the existing spacecraft and orbit serving, and it will also allow ISRO to replace parts, payloads and satellites which are already in the orbit. And its eventual goal is to be able to shift humans from one vehicle to another vehicle, and this is considered as one of the key objective of this docking exercise that ISRO has recently performed. Okay, so that's all in this class, and thank you so much.